Hey everyone, this is Danielle Gardner, and I am here with Brionna Ned, who is a death dominatrix. She is a 4-1 sacral generator. And Brionna, I wanted to have a chat to you today because you shared with me via email that you had this launch, what was called a Rebirth Your Business offering. And it was to do with this death cycle, and it was very much done generator style and with the things that you've learned. And I thought this would be so helpful for other generators to hear a little bit about that story. So let's start by, I think this is sort of important. You did the other responding you said like December 2021, so last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the sounds of what you were saying, you did it again 3 months later.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, because you're sort of saying the summer, spring. And then when you did it that second time, you were just sort of like, you just really felt it drop in at a deeper level. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. When I just did it in December of last year, it was like a lot of nods, like but it wasn't really like integrating. And so I sort of let it percolate in my brain for a little bit. And I think you announced that you did an update to it, and I was like, okay, let me revisit it with the update and see how I feel about it now.
Yeah.
And then things really started to click for me. I started to see like where exactly it applied in my business and where I needed to switch things up and do things differently.
But then you were saying that over the summer, you noticed you were having these conversations with people around. So what kept arising was people feeling like they've outgrown their business and like how to navigate that. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So first, I personally was feeling like I was like expanding beyond what my business was. The sensation or the experience I was having was that I kept asking myself the question, like, did I accidentally like back myself into a corner that I like can't get out of? And so I was spending a lot of time reflecting on that. And as a result, I was talking about it with friends who are also entrepreneurs who found themselves also asking the same questions. And then what actually happened is that I had a number of clients over the summer. Like I was testing out actually a different offering. And so with clients that I already had, I just sent a little email. I was like, super discounted. I'm testing out this offering, but if you're interested, let's like sign up because I want to see how it goes. And it turned out that every single one of them was having the same experience I had, which is that they didn't know like where to go next in their business. It didn't feel quite right, but they didn't know what felt quite right. And I finally had a session with a one-on-one client that I've been working with for a few months where she said the same thing. And I started to tell her, like, I had my own breakthrough around it of like, okay, how am I going to really map out where I want my business to go? And I started to share it with her, and it was really resonating. And in about 10 minutes, of the last 10 minutes of her session, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make this a group program. And I was like, I will text you in about 3 hours and then you can sign up. I was like, I have to run it by my best friend's a projector, and we kind of run all of our offerings by each other and guide each other.
Yep.
I said, I have to call her and just see, and then I'll get back to you. I call my best friend and she said, oh my God, me and this other person we're just talking about how we were going to reach out to you to see if we could pay you to teach us how to rebirth your business because we don't feel like figuring it out, but we do want the information. And I said, great. I just talked about this. I was like, give me an hour. I'm going to make a Google Doc for this offering, and then you can sign up and share it with people.
Yeah, I love that. And in that email, I love how you said essentially, you just had this moment where the penny dropped and it was like, aha, this is the pattern. This is the pattern that, and the green light, and this is the thing that's coming into my field. This is what the human network is showing me. It's like, right. And then, yeah, I love how you said you just did a Google document, right? No actual sales page as such,
No.
and an email, and then what happened?
I sent it to the people who I was like, I'll text you this afternoon. So I sent it to those three to sign up. And then I sent the email to everyone who I could remember having a conversation like this with.
Amazing.
I just sent, like a BCC email and said, you're receiving this because we've talked about this thing. And it turns out I actually know exactly what to do. And so here's a group program. And I'm inviting you to rebirth your business with me. And we're going to work on this over the next 6 months. And I've got a whole framework and I'm excited. And if you're excited, there's a link in the doc to sign up.
Amazing.
And I think 3/4 of the people that I emailed signed up.
Yeah, within like a couple of days, wasn't it? Or...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because we started 10 days later because it works with the moon cycle. And I was like, we're starting with this new moon. So like, if you're in, you're in. And if you're not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that this is happening right now.
Yeah. So you were saying that this was quite a revelation for you. It was so easy. And that got me thinking, how does that compare, how that rolled out with maybe how things had been prior to that with releasing offerings and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I had 2 different things that I had done earlier in the year, where I was really trying to gather information about like launching and how it feels and what effort levels I can do. So I did one way back for the spring equinox called the Release Retreat, and it was kind of meant to be this weekend workshop to help us transition from winter to spring. And I was really excited about it and launched it and did all of these things, and no one signed up because I had no verification from the human network. It was just like this idea I had. And all the motivations were all wrong. I was like, oh, that'll be neat. This feels like like I want to do this, and it feels like an easy way to make money. And it was just like crickets. Because I hadn't
I can relate. That has happened to me. But I'm interested, like at the time, were you thinking, were you kind of like, did you think about your strategy at all? Or did you have a story like in response? Or like what were you thinking?
I didn't think about my strategy at all. Like I was just like, oh, this is a great idea. And one of the things I've really had to look at in my chart is the interesting interplay between like being a 4/1 profile type and a generator and having to kind of balance those two. I saw an interesting post that was talking about having a 4/1 profile. Like there are pieces of the manifestor there where it's like you feel like you can manifest. And so you have to like really balance that instinct to just like, I'm going to create whatever is calling me with the validation from the human network. And it can be kind of tricky with that profile that I really resonated with. That was helpful for me when I was kind of doing, I review every offering I do to see like, how did that feel? Like what could have been different type of thing. And that's in that review process for me. I was like, yeah, I didn't like verify it with anyone human except for me, which doesn't count.
And that can be hard to swallow for people, right? Like I kind of cheekily, I think I said this in the course, like I said something like, you might have something from your guides, your aliens, your like whatever, I've named a few things, and I said, but you need a human. You need a human in this thing,
I remember that part of the course very specifically because I was like, oh.
And that sort of does, people hear well, maybe not even that, but other things, and they'll get this impression that, oh, great, so I can't do what I want. Like, I got to do what other people want, and it's actually not like that. I am doing what I want all the time. It's just the way I've set things up. They just come together and they merge, and they're like, it's like, oh, you want to do that? Okay, like it just feels really good, and you've certainly got to have that sacral yes, even when people want something, that's the other confusion.
Yeah.
So
Well, what I learned from that experience and from your teachings was that I could I could do it differently. Like if it was a yes for me, for example, how I said I tested an offering over the summer. Like I didn't like do this big full launch and put all this work behind it. I was just like, I have an email list that's just people that have already worked with me.
mm,
And I said, this is a thing I've been thinking about a lot. I did it by accident in a one-on-one session with a client that I have, and I'd like to explore it more. And if you want to explore it, here's what it's about. And, right now it's heavily discounted. It's like, $40 when it normally would be maybe $400 because I'm just testing it and,
yeah,
we'll see what happens. And
yeah,
that was a way I found that I could play and explore and like pull those threads
yeah,
without like making it into some huge deal that I'm putting like a ton of effort behind,
yeah,
so that I can get some more information from the human network.
yeah, yeah. Do you think you'll be offering this again? So it's already
Um,
started,
yeah, it's so funny. Yes, I think so.
but you just see.
And yeah, we'll see because this replaced a program that I had planned to offer again in the fall called Sustainable Life Cadence. And I had people on that wait list ready to sign up, and I was not having a yes to it for teaching
Yeah.
it in the fall.
Mm,
And so I was waiting because I was like, that means there's something else I'm supposed to be doing. And then this clicked. And so I had to send the email to that wait list and be like, so this is not happening. Like I said, it was happening in the
yeah,
fall.
yeah,
I, at best, maybe it'll be back for spring, but I also think it might be turning into like a series of tiny courses. Um, Stay tuned.
yeah.
And so I'm going to teach Rebirth Your Business now because I'm really excited about that. And
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
cool.
want to teach Sustainable Life Cadence right now. So we'll
Yeah,
see. In
yeah.
my mind, I'm like, I would love to teach this again. It's really, really fun. And it feels like an annual exercise to do in your business if you're an entrepreneur. But, who knows?
Yeah. And I love that. I feel the same. It's like with the offerings I've got, I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, but I'm not sure about next year. I'm kind of feeling yes, but I'm more than comfortable these days of just going, I'm going to wait till closer to the time and see how I
Yeah.
feel and see, it's like that movie trailer,
Yes.
details released closer to the time.
Yes.
But in my case,
Exactly.
it might be not at all, Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm going to share your website and things like that below, for anyone who's interested in just checking out your work. But before we go, I want to quickly ask, we had a little chat about this just before. A lot of people have heard about a death doula, and you are calling yourself the death dominatrix. And can you share a little bit about that? Because I think that's so interesting for people to hear. So why is it dominatrix?
Yeah, it's dominatrix because you can see it in my human design chart. Actually, a friend of mine told me, but I have a very strong ability to detect, like I have a very strong bullshit detector, basically.
Yeah.
And so with my clients, what a lot of people come to me for is accountability
Mm,
and being like, okay, this is all great, but like, here's the story that you're spinning that doesn't work because you want to be here and it's keeping you here. And so what we
mm,
have to get underneath is like why you're creating this story and like how you can break the pattern of it so you can get to where you want to go. And
mm,
I have very strong boundaries with my clients in terms of I don't take responsibility for their growth and transformation. That accountability, I make it very clear, like that's on them. Like you're here and I can support you, but you have to do the work. And so that's really where the dominatrix piece comes in, is like it's a very clean mirror, and there's no judgment coming from me.
Yep.
But I'm also not going to shoulder the workload for you. Like you have to do this work yourself. And I find that just even having that in my name and what I call myself in my work, people self-select.
Yeah.
Because the name itself is triggering
Yeah.
to most people. And
Yeah.
so people tend to self-select of like, you're either excited about that or it makes you nervous, right? There are some
Yeah.
people who can't even get the word out of their mouth. Like it makes them so uncomfortable. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's great. We're
Yeah.
not there yet. Maybe we'll get there and I get to work with you. And if not, that's perfectly fine as well.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. And there's just a whole nother interview or a tiny course, as I said, in that. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, 'cause I've even struggled with some of that stuff too, you know, taking on too much of people's transformation at times, you know, and so it's a really good conversation to have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to
Excellent.
have it. I have learned a lot of lessons around it. I'm a highly sensitive person and can
Yep.
usually, like, I have my emotional authority is open. So I can usually tell what people are feeling. And so it's been a lifelong journey of learning how to not take that on, even though I can deeply feel and sense and know what's going on.
Love it. That's a whole nother thing. I can see all of these things that you do. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me, Brionna, and anyone who's watching, who sees it wherever you've seen it. Feel free to, you know, comment below if you've got any questions or anything, and we'll come by and reply at some point. So thank you, and
Thank you.
thanks to anyone who's watching. Bye for now.